Hello, my delicious co-creators. Lilou here in Tokyo, in Japan, with a delicious man I met yesterday, or actually the past days here, Duane. It's been wonderful.
Very intense. A few days here in Japan.
Yes, around the Fuji Declaration and the Sayanji family that put this event together. And here we met around the Symphony of Peace Prayer, not far from Mount Fuji and in Tokyo, to speak of what really can be created in these times. And you're such a wonderful being. Let me tell you, I just love connected with you. I love your energy and your just definitely connection to the universe depth, and who you're being is absolutely lovely.
You're sweet. You're kind.
Yeah, this is. I really mean it, and this is what when I meet people like you, I just want to take my microphone and share that with you guys, because this is how we grow, and this feels good when we see two human beings connecting on that level. And then I found out that you wrote The Living Universe, and you've wrote many books, and you're actually extremely famous in for all your teachings, and you've been supported by a huge famous two best-selling authors. So we're going to get into this conversation, Duane.
All right.
There's one thing that I just read, like spirituality as intimacy, and I want to get right in there with you. What do you mean by that?
Spirituality is intimacy with a living universe. That if the universe is alive and we enter into an intimate relationship with the universe, that experience of oneness and celebration of our connection with the aliveness that surrounds us is what we call spirituality.
So that's exactly how you define it.
Yes.
And tell us, just going back so that we really get on the same grounds here, the living universe. When you say living universe, what do you mean exactly? So this is like a body, a human being,
more than 2,000 years ago, Plato said, the universe is a single living creature that encompasses all living creatures within it. So the universe is a unique kind of living creature. And here we are, living creatures that live within this larger entity, a living universe. And in recent times, in the last 200 or 300 years, in the West in particular, we've said, no, it's dead matter, it's empty space, and let's exploit that which is dead for us, few that are alive. And out of that came the Industrial Revolution. Out of that has come the exploitation of the earth, and out of that has come the American dream, which is really now the world's nightmare as we overconsume the earth. And so now we're in the process of great transition. And one of the greatest parts of that transition is a transition from seeing the universe as dead, as non-living at its foundations, to alive. And if it's alive, well, then we can revere the aliveness. We can respect the aliveness. We can look for the juice in the aliveness. And the juice is not in the material side, it's in the non-material side, in our relationships with other people, in our relationships with nature, in our relationships with our own creative life contributions with family and so on.
Yeah, so this is more than just on this earth plane. We're talking of a cosmic connection.
Oh, absolutely. There's I see our universe as nested within a mother universe.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
And the mother universe holds countless daughter universes within her spacious embrace. So we're just one of countless universes, I feel, in the larger scheme of things. And in physics, that's called multiverse theory or meta-universe theory. But I like the phrase, a mother universe, holding us in her as a daughter universe.
What are her properties, if we could say?
The property.
Does it work?
Yeah. Of the universe. First of all, it's unified, it's whole. It's not a bunch of just fragments and pieces, that this is a whole unity. And that is now being discovered in science. That's unequivocal. It's a unified universe. Secondly, it's filled with enormous amounts of energy. Just tremendous amounts of energy are flowing through the universe. Thirdly, the universe has freedom at the foundations. If we go to quantum physics says there's not certainty, there's probability, and it means if there's probability, there's choice. If there's choice, there's freedom. In addition, there is the capacity for the universe to reproduce itself. And a black hole is now considered the entrance to a white hole, which is the access to another potential universe. So it's possible that we are budding off and creating countless other universes through all of the black holes that inhabit our universe. And lastly, one more, the universe is conscious throughout. And everywhere we look, this famous physicist, Freeman Dyson, said the electron moves through an electron shell as if it had a mind of its own. And we can go from the electron all the way up to the human, and at every step of the way, whether it's plants or animals, we find choicefulness, we find consciousness, we find the freedom of knowingness. And so the whole universe is a sentient being, if you will.
Yeah. Some people refer to this universe as electric universe.
Electric universe. I like that. Yeah.
Would that work too?
To me, it's even more than electric. It's a sacred creation. We're learning. Here we are. We're just 2 steps above a black hole. A black hole is 1 dimension, and we're in the 3rd dimension. So we're only 2 steps above living in a black hole, which is a collapse of reality. Now, if science is right and it says we live in an infinite universe, we are just getting started here. We're just beginning the process of awakening, getting a hold of ourselves, understanding who we are, and then beginning to evolve through the higher reaches of a multiverse, a mother universe.
There are several steps in our evolution, and one when we feel disconnected and we're suffering and we're in the competitive mode and we feel alone. And there's all those steps to really living this living universe, being part of it, feeling fully connected and dancing with it, as you like to say. Is there, how do you see those steps, and how can we deepen this connection? Is there something that we can practice even every day to be part of this dance? Yeah. Or I guess we're part of it all the time, but you know how we can be separating ourselves.
Yes, we do. We separate ourselves all the time. We think of, well, I'm just this body. There's nothing more going on than me as a physical being, and I'm here and the rest of the universe is out there. And so we begin in the West in particular from a place of separation. Now, the next step is to develop our capacity for reflective consciousness, for a witnessing consciousness, an observer consciousness. So we see ourselves moving through life, and we're not so caught up just in our thinking minds, but we can begin to witness and watch ourselves moving through the world. Now, as the observer becomes closer and closer to that which is being observed, life itself. When the observer and observed come together, we become at one with all. We become a part of the ocean of reality, if you will. And then a compassionate relationship with the world emerges naturally, because we experience ourselves as a part of a living whole.
So it's not anymore this universe is against me, there's something wrong here about me, or this person is really is on me. Like, we're not these victims anymore. There's no coincidence.
Right. We are dancing then with the aliveness of a living universe. And I think that's why we're here. We're learning how to live in a living universe. In the East, sometimes they say, well, life is suffering. In the West, they say, well, no, life is really pleasuring. But if you put those two together, it's a life of learning. Sometimes learning is painful, sometimes learning is pleasurable, but all the time there's learning.
There is part of being alive and part of being human being. I guess we can relate a little bit like that to this universe. So there must be, how do I say this? There must be. Is there some things that is imperfect about this living universe, like us human beings, or that has part of it that has even cancer or disease or something that needs nourishing, or is this absolute wholeness?
Well, the word perfection. One definition of the word perfection, it means complete, whole, and without omission. Complete, whole, and without omission. That means everything that exists is a part of the perfection of reality. There is nothing so the dark side, the shadow side, the hard parts of life and so on, that's a part of the perfection of the universe. And to say, no, it's only the good part, and is to not have a world of perfection that's whole, complete, and without omission.
You sound like you know exactly what you're talking about.
It's been many years of deep inquiry.
You had to go through some huge chunks like most of us are doing, or did you always feel like that? I mean, you had many careers in one already that I know.
Well, it's been a lifelong process of learning, truly, and I think we all ultimately go through a dark night of the soul if we're going to come out the other side in genuine celebration of our living in a living universe. If it's authentic, if it's real, if it's felt, if there's real love there, the love emerges out of the dark night of the soul when we really begin to transcend the sense of limitations of a physical body and recognize that we are in a dance of aliveness with a living universe.
It's like a big reset. Like rebooting the whole system.
Rebooting the whole system, yes.
Tell us about some specific experience you went through, so that we can deeply relate. I mean, we can deeply relate to who you're being, for sure. Yeah. But maybe some specific things that comes to mind?
Well, at one point in 1977, 1978, I dropped out of professional work, and I spent a half year in meditation by myself. And that half year in meditation ultimately awakened a new sense of the universe, a new sense of myself, and my life has never been the same since.
Life will never be the same. This is a beautiful song. I love it. Tell us more about this part of the dancing. Dancing when things are not exactly showing up as we would like them to. Dancing when disease show up or divorce show up, job lost, all this stuff.
It's all part of the learning. It's all part of the learning. If there were no difficulties, where's the learning? The learning is in the challenges that we meet, and in the challenge we find discovery and deeper parts of ourselves and new ways of relating to the universe, to other people, to our own creativity, and so on. So that is something to embrace rather than push away. Even as difficult as that is to say that, to embrace the difficulties of life. Nonetheless, I think the universe is inviting us to do that in a compassionate process of discovery.
It seems like personal integrity and being honest with ourselves, truth with ourselves, is a huge step, and ultimately really where we need to do the work to realign, because this is like this unconditional love is really first and foremost for us, to live. Because if we want to create something that is more aligned, then we have to say no to some other things.
Honesty, truthfulness. We won't come into alignment with reality as it is unless we are honest about ourselves and about, our own discomforts and disconnects and all the rest. So honesty is essential to discovery.
Yes. there some other aspects of us, like we just spoke of honesty, but is there some other things that we can practice daily like that to really having this blast and living in this living universe?
Yes. Okay, now we talked about meditation. We talked about, but that's just a word. Meditation means paying attention. So one thing we can do is walk through life paying attention. Another thing we can do, and a dear friend here at this gathering was saying, he tries to say thank you at least 25 times a day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So gratitude. Practicing gratitude brings a sense of humility and a sense of openness to the world as it is. We can practice developing our unique resonance, if you will. We're all a body of music. This whole universe is a body of music, if you will, deep down, string theory and so on. And so you have a unique orchestration, I have a unique orchestration. We can each cultivate the unique orchestration that we each are and bring the music of our lives into the world in a very unique way. We're each a body of light. I look at you and I see the light in your eyes, and the same with other people. You know the light that is there. The love that we each carry in our lives is felt immediately by other people. Other people know if you're a person of compassion, of love, of caring. Just intuitively, we know that from one another. The knowing that we each embody is intuitively apparent to other people. They know whether this is someone they can relate to in a deep way or not. Yeah. So yeah, we're a body of light, love, music, knowing. We can practice gratitude and attention. There's a lot.
Then come a little closer to me, Duane, because you're getting out of the... yeah, just right there. You know how much I love having this conversation, and I think it's possible to make choices because we have some choices to make, and there is many of us living like that and exploring and wanting to grow, and that's something we could follow our intuition about that. To be connecting to human beings like that and say no to some other situations. I think it's important to say basta to some situations and no, so that we can live like that, right? Or do we just let it happen?
Well, both. We let it happen, and we
screw up.
We do. And we have a choice right now in Western society, for example, to go along with the culture of materialism and buy into the demands of that extraordinarily busy and distracted lifestyle. And in many ways an adolescent lifestyle, or we can step back from the materialism and say, you know, there's something more to life that's happening here. There's more juice in my relationships with people than there are in my relationships with things. Yeah. And so we can begin to shift our attention and where we bring our inquiry into the world. Yeah.
Yes. It feels like jumping out of an airplane. It feels like jumping in the unknown. We don't know if there is a B plan sometimes, right? And that's where the juice is. Then all of a sudden we see that it's a living universe. But until really we do this jump, it's still theoretical. It's still in the head.
Yeah.
We read it. We might have read your book. But it takes real courage.
Yeah. Now, importantly, we do the jump. We're falling through the air. Now, that's the bad news in a way. The good news is there's no ground, there's no bottom. We just keep falling. And we just keep opening and awakening and growing. And so, we do jump. But we're not going to crash and burn because the universe is just welcoming us to become more and more of who we are.
What would you say to somebody that is ready to make a huge job change, just this insecurity of how is this gonna how is this gonna show up? How do we know for sure it's gonna show up and it's not gonna crash?
Well, I've certainly done that with my life. Made a huge shift, job change. And I would say trust and surrender would be one key theme. Trust and surrender. And then put your passion into that life, that new life that you're in discovery. I'm always in discovery. I've been in discovery for 40 years. So trust, surrender, and just give your passion to it all, and the universe will meet us in that.
There's something we didn't talk about that I feel is important, is this communication with this living universe.
Yeah. Well, we're always in dialogue with the universe, and the universe is in dialogue with us. Excuse me, I have to.
Yes.
So it's a reciprocal process. It's that in that way. It is a dance. If it weren't reciprocated, it wouldn't be a dance. So we can open to the aliveness, and the aliveness can nurture us, and then we grow in that.
And talk to it, no? Because I've seen it so many times. Like, hey, I need some help here, and I do get help. You know, this is direct communication.
Yeah.
We may do that, right? Because otherwise, it's just like we feel alone and separate. You know, like, hey, I need some assistance here.
Yeah. Now, part of this process, though, is to say, I need the assistance. I. And what we're doing is looking beyond the I of the ego to the I of the soul.
Yes.
And
that's when it works. Then that's when we get assistance. Otherwise, it's just nothing that happens.
That's when it works. And so this is a challenge, living here in this life and moving from the ego I that wants to the soul that gives, if you will, that contributes, that finds its aliveness in contribution to a world of promise and peace, if you will.
It's been wonderful. Wonderful interview, wonderful getting to know you. If there is a last little word of wisdom you want to leave us with, or something that we didn't say that is important to mention as part of this living universe, or things that you're up to, or what this beautiful event inspired you to?
Two things, voice and vision. Here we are at a time of great transition on the earth, and the earth is in a transition unlike anything it's ever experienced in human history. And so we need two things. We need a sense of vision. Where are we going? And not only as nation states, but as a whole species. Where are we going? And I see that we're actually, one way of looking at it is that we're in a time of planetary birth. There's contraction and relaxation. We're in a labor process that's painful, but on the other side of that is new life. Humanity is growing up. We're acting like teenagers now. We're acting like adolescents. But on the other side of that adolescence is our early adulthood, and with that comes new responsibility and new freedoms. So there are different stories of great transition that we can begin to discover that will guide us into a more promising future. So that's vision. The second is a voice, and the human family needs a collective voice for our common future. And at the very time that we're in great peril as a civilization, in need of a collective voice for our common future, what do we have? A communications revolution is going on. The global brain is waking up. 3 billion people now have access to the internet. It'll soon be 5 billion people with access to the internet. We can have a collective voice for our common future if we choose to use the technology that's already there to begin to talk to ourselves as a collective human family about where we want to go and how we want to get there.
I'm glad you're just mentioning that right now, because I was going to suggest a second part here, if you're okay with that, to talk about the role of media, because you're very passionate about it, and the role of communication and all that. And I think that's just a topic of its own that is at the core, like we're all becoming that. Like there's something emerging here, very different. So if you accept that we do maybe 5-10 minutes just on this topic, and if you want to tune in into that video, please do so. We send you so much love from beautiful Tokyo. See you shortly. Bye. Living universe. I can't wait. Big kiss. Bye.